Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The Circuit Court of the 6th Judicial Circuit of Florida and County Court of Pasco County are now in session with all the honorable judges of the court in attendance. The Honorable Anthony Rondolino, Chief Judge, presiding. All persons having business before this honorable court, draw near, and ye shall be heard. God save the United States, the state of Florida, and this honorable court. Will everyone please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. And please welcome Gay and Keith.
Good morning. My name is Gay Inskeep, and I'm the trial courts administrator in the 6th Circuit, which is Pasco and Pinellas counties. And first thing I want to do is thank Deputy Jesse Graham of the Pasco County Sheriff's Office for opening the call of the court and leading us in the pledge. So thank you. I'd like to welcome you all to Pasco's 8th annual Adoption Day. And what I've done a couple times at past ceremonies is to ask anyone who was adopted or who is about to adopt in the courtroom to please stand up. And not just the audience, but among the dignitaries and the judges, too, if you wouldn't mind. So look around. Thank you. Thank you so much for being brave and standing up. I also wanted to point out a few pretty famous people who were adopted, and I didn't know some of these. Eleanor Roosevelt, Marilyn Monroe, Babe Ruth, John Lennon, Steve Jobs, and Nelson Mandela. That's just to name a few. Imagine how their lives in our world may have been different if they had not had a loving family to care for them. Now, what is my connection to adoption? My husband and I did raise a foster son, the same foster son, for 12 years. That's a story for another day. We like to call that our virtual adoption. But I've never actually gone through the legal adoption process, so I can't speak to the experience that you're about to enter. But what I can speak to is family. I grew up in a military family with 4 siblings, which is considered a big family by today's standards. Is anybody else in the room a military brat? Okay, yay, go military brats. Military brats, you know that we learn to become observers because we're often a new person in town. So we learn to sit back and observe, figure out what's going on before we get engaged. So when I was a military brat, it always fascinated me to go into somebody else's home and see how their family operated, usually quite differently than my family. You could see how they lived their lives, what their family dynamics were. And through my observations, what I discovered that no two families are the same. Families are created in many different ways and forms, with different personalities, customs, history, heritage, rules, and relationships. But one thing I observed that all successful families have in common, despite their differences and diversity, is that they demonstrate mutual respect and shared love. This is true of families no matter how they come to be created, including through adoption. So I wish you all a lifetime bond with your new family based on that mutual respect and shared love. So now I'd like to introduce someone very important to me because he's my boss, Chief Judge Anthony Rondolino. He's a circuit judge, but he's also the Chief Judge of the 6th Circuit, and he has a few words to say about the role that the 6th Circuit plays in your adoptions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gay. And good morning, everyone. First thing I'd like to say is everybody's got one of these probably in your pocket. Let's turn the ringers down and leave them on so you can take pictures. We want to thank all of you for coming to Pasco County's 8th annual Adoption Day, which is part of our national observance of Adoption Month. National Adoption Day itself is on November 19th, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And what a great day it is for the court to be involved in this formal ceremony for adopting parents, and most of all for the children who are so fortunate to be adopted at this time. We as judges generally deal with a lot of difficult, sometimes painful life and death decisions, but to do an adoption is one of the most enjoyable proceedings that we have the privilege of participating in. It's nice to be able to see people come into court happy and leave the court even happier. For the children who are here today, they're going to officially be part of a new family. Many have had a difficult journey to get to this point, but the reward and the opportunities forward are great indeed. With love, caring, and nurturing, who knows what greatness is in store for these individuals. You've heard Ms. Inskeep mention some of the names of famous people who've been adopted. Who knows? Some of the kids here today might grow up to be a teacher, a social worker, doctor, lawyer, maybe even a circuit judge. Whether they grow up to be the president or a pauper is really not the important thing. The important thing now is that they're becoming part of a loving family. And thank you all so much, adoptive parents and foster parents. You are truly special people. It's an immense responsibility to raise a child, and the importance of people stepping forward to take on this responsibility cannot be understated. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to be rich. You just need to be loving and willing to commit to this new family forever. Particularly in these tight economic times, it's even more admirable that there are people who are willing to do the sacrifices, monetary sacrifices that are necessary to raise children. We as a society and as a court are indebted to you for your volunteerism. I thank you all, and thank you for participating in today's ceremony. We need so many more people that are willing to do this. So tell all of your friends what a wonderful experience it is. We also want to thank Eckerd Community Alternatives for being the lead agency responsible for the safety and well-being of children in the foster care system. They have a great motto: there are no unwanted children, just unfound families. And here is a statistic before I wind up. Under Eckerd's guidance, 590 finalized adoptions took place between July 1 of 2014 and May 30th, 2015. Other agencies that deal specifically with adoption are the Guardian Ad Litem, the Heart Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco, and the Youth and Family Alternatives. Thanks to all of them, and thanks to the attorneys who assist in the adoption process, and thanks to the judges who participate in that, although the participation is really its own reward. There's still much to be done in the adoption area. As I mentioned, at any given time there's over 800 children waiting to be adopted in Florida, and in the nation there's more than 100,000 children waiting to be adopted. Today, however, is an occasion for special joy. Congratulations to you adopting parents and the adopted children. Because of people like you, great progress is being made. This is like a new birthday for the children. It's probably a date that will be remembered for a long time. Thank you to the parents for your willingness and your care to nurture. God bless you all, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of the day. At this point, I'd like to introduce some special guests that we have here who wanted to participate in these happy proceedings. Hold your applause. I'm going to introduce these special guests and then the judges who are present today. We have Zachary Gibson, the Chief Child Advocate and Director of the Office of Adoption and Child Protection. We have Brian Bostic from Eckerd Community Alternatives. He's the Executive Director of Pinellas and Pasco County, and also President Sonia Graham from Eckerd. Keith Mulherji, Program Director, Youth and Family Alternatives. Jen Nance, Executive Director of the Art Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco. We also are honored to have Representative Amanda Murphy with us. We have Celeste Fernandez from the Department of Children and Families. Francis Werner Watkins, who's the Vice President of the West Pasco Bar Association, and Ryan Doddridge, the President of the West Pasco Bar Association. If you'll join me in a round of applause for all of our honored guests. In front of me, we have some judges participating. We have County Judge Joseph Public. Judge Paul Fermani. Judge Jim Stearns. Judge Bill Webb. And Judge Len Tepper. And now I think we have time for some additional remarks from... Okay, good.
Next on the agenda. Okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Zachary Gibson, who Judge Rondolino has already recognized as a dignitary from the governor's office, to come up and say a few remarks. Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you, Gay. Good morning. Chief Judge Rondolino, members of the judiciary, special guests, families, and friends, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. On behalf of Governor Scott and First Lady Ann Scott, we are just so excited to participate today, to express our thanks and appreciation to all of you, but to all of the staff and everybody who come together day in and day out to work with children and families to make a difference in their lives. I'm honored today to read the proclamation from the governor regarding Florida Adoption Month. Whereas adoption provides a unique opportunity to improve children's lives and enrich lives of adoptive parents, their families, and their communities. Whereas every child needs and deserves a loving, supportive, nurturing, and permanent family. Whereas approximately 800 children are currently available for adoption without an identified adoptive family, including teenagers, sibling groups, and children with medical needs. Whereas 3,469 children in Florida found forever families during fiscal year 2015-2016. Whereas the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Department of Children and Families, community-based care lead agencies, art galleries, state and local agencies and organizations joined together to raise awareness of foster care adoption in Florida. Whereas November 19, 2016 is National Adoption Day, and families and children across the nation and the great state of Florida will celebrate the joy of adoption on this day throughout the month, while remembering our children who are still dreaming and hoping for a loving, permanent family of their own. Whereas Florida will celebrate National Adoption Month and Florida Adoption Month through 30 days of amazing children on the Explore Adoption website at adoptflorida.org. Whereas adoptive families, including relatives, grandparents who have already adopted, may benefit from continued post-adoption supports and services in the days and years ahead. Now, therefore, I, Rick Scott, Governor of the State of Florida, do hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing November 2016 as Florida Adoption Month, and urge all Floridians to consider opening their hearts and their homes to children in this state who are in need of a forever family. Thank you again to all of you for being here. Congratulations to all the family and to the children. And again, as Chief Judge said, please tell your friends, and let's make sure every child has a permanent family. Thank you very much.
Okay, I made my first goof of the day. It won't be my last. I jumped over 4 very important people. 4 of our judges want to make some remarks. Judge Stearns, Judge Tepper, and they're right behind me. I can feel them looking at me. Judge Stearns, Judge Tepper, Judge Fermani, and Judge Webb, in that order, are going to make some brief remarks for you. So I'm going to introduce Judge Stearns first.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is very nice to be here, and it's so nice to see a lot of familiar faces and, more importantly, a lot of smiling faces. I don't always see smiling faces in my courtroom, except during the adoptions, which is, of course, close to my heart and my favorite part of my duties as a circuit judge in the Unified Family Court. On behalf of all of the county and circuit judges in Newport Richey, I want to welcome you here today to the 2016 Pasco County Adoption Day. As our Chief Judge, Judge Rondolino, indicated, I believe it's the 8th annual Adoption Day. It is my first, as I took over and have been trying to fill the big shoes of Judge Webb for the last 11 months or so. But I have been looking forward to this day for a long time, as I know all of you have too. And it's my honor to be able to share this day with you. It's a day that took a lot of planning and a lot of effort on a lot of people. It was a community of organizations that donated their time, their goods, their services, their manpower to make this happen. There's a list of, I believe, 21 different generous donors that helped make this day possible, and I want to thank each and every one of them, as well as I want to give a special thanks to Michelle Emmerman over here, our Unified Family Court case manager, who really organized and coordinated all of this. Let's give her a big round of applause. Michelle. I also want to briefly mention some other important names, and all of you are important, but Gretchen Marzaccola from Youth and Family Alternatives was very instrumental in getting this done, and want to thank Meckerd Community Alternatives, the Guardian Ad Litem Foundation of Tampa Bay, the Heart Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco County, YFA, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my judicial assistant, Jessica. Where is Jessica? All right, Jessica's hiding behind the tree of balloons that Gretchen, I think, made, but Jessica did an awful lot of work in planning here, so I want to thank all of them. Most importantly, I want to thank each and every one of you, and stealing from Governor Scott for his line, and that being for thanking you for opening up your hearts and opening up your homes to these wonderful, wonderful children. And I want to thank you for that, and I want to wish you the very best in the future, and enjoy this wonderful day. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Families that open their homes to children do so, really, it's a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith that their own families, their extended families, the siblings in that home, will be as open-minded and open their hearts to the children that they have accepted into their home. And it's a leap of faith when the decision is made that maybe this could be a forever family for that child. But for that child or for those children, it's a leap of hope. It's a leap of hope that the nurturing that they see welcoming them in this home will continue unconditionally for the rest of their life. And it is momentous when it comes together, and it continues despite the great patience that it takes for each side to balance and accept and understand unconditionally forever families with great nurturing and patience and love. I commend you all.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to echo the comments made by the prior speakers. Normally, county judges don't get to sit in dependency court, but a few years ago, Judge Ramsberger came into my chambers and said, "Paul, I could do with some help." And I said, "I'd be more than happy, and it's the best decision I ever made." There's an expression, it takes a village. And you don't really understand what that means until you work in dependency court. It took a village to put this together today. It takes a village to get these families through, in some situations, reunification, in some situations, permanent guardianship, and in some situations, a forever home with adoption. I feel privileged to be part of this village that works together so well, whether it's the investigators up front, whether it's the garden ad litem attorneys, whether it's regional counsel. There are so many people that make this division work, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm proud to be part of the adoptions later on this morning. Thank you.
Again, good morning, folks. When I was asked to say a few brief words at the ceremony, I honestly was a little surprised. I was pleased. I've been actually officially retired now 10 months, and although I've done some senior judging over the past 10, volunteer senior judging, I should add. But for many years before that, I had the privilege of presiding over a unified family court, of which dependency is a very large portion of the cases. I had the privilege of working closely with all segments of our system, whether they were child protection investigators, guardian ad litems, state attorneys, attorneys representing parents, case managers, ECHRD. And although I had presided over other divisions, I have to say that my heart is really in the dependency division. And for those who had worked in the dependency division, you know just what I'm talking about. The number of people who really selflessly devote their time and their energies and their intellect and their hearts to the jobs. They're really more than jobs. They really are. You change people's lives for the better. And it's really my distinct privilege to say thank you for everything that you do. Thank you.
Okay. Now, military brats are also stubborn, and I was too stubborn to wear my glasses, so I'm not going to make another mistake. Put my glasses on. I want to introduce another one of our dignitaries, Brian Bostic, who's the Executive Director of ECHRD Community Alternatives in Pasco and Pinellas. So thank you, Brian.
Good morning again. I want to welcome everyone again to today's National Adoption Day event. My name is Brian Bostic. I'm the Executive Director with ECHRD Community Alternatives. We serve Pinellas and Pasco County. Today I'm excited to announce that 8 different families will leave here today as official forever families. Most of the 15 children being adopted today have waited their entire lives for this moment. ECHRD Community Alternatives is the lead agency for community-based child welfare and foster care service in Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco counties, serving nearly 6,000 children every day. Through a contract with the Florida Department of Children and Families, our programs represent 2 of the 20 lead agencies in the state of Florida. ECHRD's role includes preventing child abuse, finding forever families, providing adoption support, and doing it with a focus on strengthening families to help ensure safety and well-being of vulnerable children. But we can't do it alone. The point of community-based care is just that, communities working together to find solutions to help children and families who have experienced trauma. ECHRD worked with 3 case management organizations in Pinellas and Pasco County to substantially impact the lives of children and families. Here in Pasco County, that agency is Youth and Family Alternatives. Everyone here today can agree that the value of permanency for children who cannot safely live in their original families is rooted in the belief that all children need consistent, nurturing families to promote development and emotional security, not only during childhood, but throughout their lives. Adoptions is an enduring, life-affirming gift that makes priceless difference to adopted children as well to their adopted families. I look forward to taking part in celebrating families here today, and I'm honored to be a part of this special day. Thank you, and everyone, congratulations on your adoptions that you'll finalize today.
Okay, this is a part of the ceremony. If you have tissues, you might want to get them out. So we're going to have some guest speakers that I'm sure will be very moving and meaningful to us. The first guest speakers are Kevin and David Fawcett. Your program says Kevin and James, but that's not correct. It's Kevin and David. Kevin and David didn't quite know what to expect when they started taking a professional parenting class. But as it turned out, they didn't just adopt one child. They ended up adopting 3, and the 3 are siblings. I guess you could say they didn't just start a new family. They also managed to keep a part of another family together. Kevin and David will speak of their journey and some of the things they've experienced since their adoption was finalized last year. So I'd like to welcome Kevin and David Fawcett. Come on up.
Hello. I would first like to say thank you to Judge Webb. You presided over our adoption. When we first started thinking about adoption, it wasn't a fully processed thought. We wanted a family. We knew we wanted a family. We didn't know how it was going to happen. Neither of us can bear children. I tried. So we turned to the Heart Gallery, and we looked at all the pictures and read all the stories, and we were more confused than we were sure. We went back to the original idea of why we did this. We wanted a family. So we didn't look at the pictures. We looked at their eyes. We looked at their smiles. And the picture you see down there before us is the picture that jumped out at us. Mind you, we did this before we even took the class. So we started our classes, which were easy and very informative. And lo and behold, a guest speaker was our children's case manager. When we were talking with her about what we wanted, and these were the children that we were doing this for, she started crying, and we were a little shocked. She was their case manager. We fast forward to we had our match meeting, we had our visits with our children, we had our fights with our children. Raising a daughter of my own before adoption, I can tell you there's no distinction between adoption and birth. There's really not. These are my kids. We don't tell people they're adopted. We just let people kind of figure it out. They look just like me. Spitting image, I swear. Right? At the end of the day, we finalized our adoption with Judge Webb. We became the Fawcett family. Our neighborhood got a new level of terror. All I can say is it was the most touching, and I cry every time. Because at the end of the day, adopting teens is no different than having a baby. You go through the same experiences, the same heartaches. You cry, you laugh, you worry.
And you get to experience the same temper tantrums.
Yes.
So it's great.
Aisle 6 at Walmart.
Last night.
I encourage people to seek out adoption for older children. You will get the same love back that you will from young ones. And for people who say, but I want a baby, I want a toddler, I promise you, they grow up. They become teens, so you're going to get them whether you want them or not. The good thing is, our family chose us. They said yes. And that's why we're here today, to encourage all of you to at least considering saying yes.
Thank you so much, and thanks to the girls for standing up with their dads. I told you, you needed your tissues. Our next speaker is Kimberly. She's 15 years old, and she has chosen to read from a statement about her experience with Bill and Alexis Vanderwhite, longtime foster parents who chose to adopt her. So Kimberly, come on up.
Adoption. People don't really understand what that means. Some think it may be taken away from your bio parents and given to another family, which is kind of what it is. But it's also a thing where you're given another chance for a fresh start. My bio parents were fine. They loved me and they cared for me until drugs were involved. During the summer of 2014, my dad passed away. He had a little accident. During the summer, my mom became depressed and turned to drugs and alcohol. It was downhill from there. So afterwards, I went to live with my aunt and uncle in October 2014. During this time, things weren't much better. In April 2015, I was sheltered in foster care. I was the lucky one, being put in a home that cared for me and just loved me from the start. When I first got there, I hated it. I didn't want to hug, listen, or even talk to anybody. Alexis and Bill, my foster parents, were putting up with that since April 3rd of 2015. Now look at me. I've become a Christian. I started taking care of myself more, mentally and physically. Bill and Alexis have become my support system. They have been there for me whenever I needed them. They have talked to me through my severe anxiety attacks and have talked me down when I feel like the world is going to end. Bill and Alexis have shown me how relationships should be. They have given examples of what a family looks like and what marriage should look like. They work with each other as a team and have a lot of patience. Being put in foster care was probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me. Some people can't really say the same, but this is me and I love my life. I feel like I've become a better person. I love this person that they've shaped me to be. And my bio parents did a good job too. I miss them sometimes, but if I didn't have anybody I knew today, then I wouldn't be me. I got lucky, and I hope the other kids placed in foster care can say the same thing someday.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was really, really beautiful. Okay. Adoptions like Kimberly's can only be finalized after many hours of work by several people whose job it is to make sure adoptions are legal, properly done, and most of all, what's best for the child. Those professionals include caseworkers, guardians ad litem, attorneys, and court personnel. So I would like any of you who fulfill one of those roles to stand up. So if you're an attorney, guardian ad litem, caseworker, and be recognized. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. And it's through your work that Kimberly can say the words that she said today. It's very meaningful. There's another group I'd like to thank, and they've been thanked a little bit, but I know Michelle Emmerman has been thanked, and rightfully so. But there were also other volunteers that helped put together this day, and you're going to enjoy some of the fruits of their labor, like cupcakes, in a few minutes. So with those people that helped kind of with the manual labor, stand on up. Come on, ladies in back. Cupcake ladies. Thank you so much. Okay, we're getting to the end. And this is how we're going to proceed to the very important part of the day, which is making your adoptions final. The judges are going to move into the courtroom and hearing rooms where the adoptions will be formally completed. When it's time for your adoption, I like this part, the bailiff will find you. That's usually not a good thing, but today you want to be sought after by the bailiff and found, and they will escort you to your courtroom or the hearing room that you're assigned to. But while you wait for that to happen, and then after your adoption has been completed, you're invited to join us here in the courtroom for the festivities and the food. And I believe these agencies have been mentioned, but I want to say it again. Eckerd Community Alternatives, Youth and Family Alternatives, Guardian Line Foundation, Heart Gallery, they've provided the entertainment and the food that you're about to enjoy. Also, the Heart Gallery arranged for a professional photographer to take your first family portrait. So you want to go by courtroom 2C, which is, I hope I got my orientation right, that way, when you have a minute. And you can take as many pictures as you want, and you can bring other family members with you. And you can also take pictures in this courtroom while you're waiting. So, we're almost done. Congratulations. We understand that what an important day this is for you, and we really appreciate you coming and sharing this with us. You didn't have to do that. You could have had your adoption behind closed doors, but instead you brought your joy here to us today, and we really appreciate that. As Judge Ronalino said, I think some of the other judges said, we don't all often get such a happy experience in court. So, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
I knew that too, and I
It's
took
okay.
it.
It's official.
Yay!
Now, we have, since you all were adopted, I'm going to ask would each of you be willing to adopt a stuffed animal to take care of? And you would? All right. And by the way, Mr. Venizelos, this is for Mr. So look at, wait a minute, Malachi. Where's Malachi's?
Over there.
Look at this. Now you get to, Malachi, this is your adoption certificate for that bear, and you get to pick out a name for that bear. And then I dig it up. Ayla's bear. Here is your adoption. Give this one to you, pass that one way down. This is yours.
Careful.
There's your baby. You're welcome. And Nathan. Nathan's certificate, and for, no, it's okay. Gia. How do you spell it? G-I-A? We gotta fix it. Oh. There we go.
Is there a bathroom?
It was spelled.
Without any concerns? No concerns. And does anybody see any reason why this adoption should not be finalized today?
The record should reflect this is a beautiful family, and you obviously have an extended family. Like I said before, it does take a village. I want to thank the case managers who do a great job as well. So it's my honor, privilege to grant the petition for adoption. At this time, I'll enter a judgment of adoption for Hetty Mary Jean Coffey. Congratulations. We're going to take some informal pictures now, I insist. And also, to remember this day, we have a certificate for Hattie that you can frame to remember today. My judicial assistant, Ellen, has also brought some additional gifts. And then there'll be some more formal photographs taken, thanks to the Art Gallery. And then there's pizza and chicken and all kinds of fun stuff to eat. And balloons, that's my favorite balloon. Yeah, well, I brought my daughter Kate. Okay, all right, so let's have some pictures.
Well, the court does not have any questions, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to grant the final judgment. And there's no question in the court's mind why you all are doing this wonderful thing and opening up your hearts and your home to these three wonderful children. So let's give all of them a big round of applause. Congratulations to all of you. Would you like to sing a song in the microphone? Go ahead.
I just want to say something. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. We have something for you here. And we have bears for all of you. And the court has, we have a certificate of adoption that each of you are adopting these bears here today also. Erica and Emily, we're not going to forget you. Let me see that smile. All right. Here we go. Congratulations, Emily. Well, this is great. Would you all like to take some other pictures with the court?
It's 0.9 miles from our house to Publix.
Yeah, it is.
This is going to my wallet.